Okay, so today I'm going to be trying to fix a tyre that had a slow leak in it. It's not as bad as this one because I've actually pulled the screw out. I was just trying to demonstrate what the soap water test looks like, but actually it's producing much bigger bubbles than high pressure leaking air. Put some soapy water on it. You can see the bubbles coming out of the hole. So I was very unlucky. This one went in at an angle. It's a very short screw and it only just penetrated the tyre, which left me as a bit of a conundrum. I was considering cutting it off with a Dremel tool, just cutting the head off it and leaving the screw in, but it wasn't stable. So that's out of the question. Then I had a few other options. I'll show those. So this is the other option I had, was putting one of these mushroom-headed plugs in. But the hole that the tiny screw caused wasn't really big enough, and this is the tool you put in. This whole thing is the tool that inserts the plug. It comes in the kit, but that's a pretty big hole to put in the tyre, so I didn't really want to make the hole much bigger than it already was. I mean, it's a tiny hole to start with. Okay, so there's these things, tyre ropes. Nah. Got the same problem. You're going to have to put a big hole in the tyre to get one of these in, and they really don't work. So something that I have found that does work when you're patching the tyre, let's get it in the right way, the radial patches. Got a whole packet of them. The only thing is they give you a tiny bit of glue which runs out after the first patch, and then you're left with a bunch of patches. So I have to buy some more glue. So this is the old cement I had for doing the patches, but this is a very old can, and once you open it the glue starts going off. So this is at 10-15 years old, it's done. So I have to go out and get a new one. $10 now. Wow, it used to be a lot cheaper. It does have, I just opened it, it's a little hard to open. It does have a brush inside the can. I was worried because it didn't say this on the top. But it does actually have a brush attached to the lid, so you can apply it fairly easily. But of course, to apply these internal patches, I'm going to have to take the tyre off the rim, which means I will be setting up my tyre remover installer again. Good job I bought this. And this should give the best puncture repair going, because number one, I'm not damaging the tyre, and number two, I've proven internal radial patches actually last the length of the tyre on a motorcycle tyre. They say, oh, you never patch those, but it works. So let's get all the gear out and get going. Okay, just so I don't have to repeat a lot of stuff that I've got in other videos, I'll put a link underneath that should get you to some videos on how I do the tyre removal and repair, which will explain why I've got the lever here and also some hand tyre levers. This stuff ran out. Apparently this stuff is good for using. It's the vegetable oil soap from Murphy's. So I even got a tyre valve and a little stick to mark the spot on the tyre. Apparently crayons don't work, you have to get the special stick. Made a little change to the bead breaking arrangement. I'm using this bungee strap, which I normally use to hold it down and sort of tied in so it doesn't flop everywhere when it's stored. I'm using it to hold this up, which is actually helpful because I always forget to do that, and it's hard to get the thing up over the tyre when you forget, because this bit gets stuck down by the tyre. So hey, it's up now, so it should make it a bit easier. Okay, so the tyre is off the rim. I've put a small smooth nail, a wire nail in here, because I want to see where that hole is on the inside. And there it is right there, right in the middle of the screen. So I need to remove all this rough shaping stuff that they put on the inside for an area a little bit bigger than the patch. Notice the tyre is kind of smooth in the middle, but over here it's got all this rough stuff, so I have to get rid of that rough stuff in the area around this. So I'll mark that, and then bigger than the patch, So I used my Dremel with a little grinding wheel attachment on the end of it, which I think has done a pretty good job of removing those ridges that you see there and that pattern. So I'm just going to go over it with the other little tool, make sure it's fairly smooth, and it should be ready for gluing and patching. Right, so I'm going to apply the glue to the area I'm going to put the patch. I'm going to go a little bigger actually. You never know where those edges end up. It says work it in, but I think it's doing a pretty good job all on its own. Looks pretty good. Put that back in the can. Tighten the lid down hard. Now we've got to get the patch out. This glue, apparently you put the patch on wet. Some of them it says leave it to dry, but this one it says put it on wet, so I'm going to peel that off. Being careful not to touch the black surface because it's got some vulcanizing compound on it or other. I'm going to drop that right about there. Work it down. Just give it some pressing down to squeeze out any excess glue. Go to the edge. I think you probably have to let it sit for a little bit. Yeah. And that's all it is, but you just have to take the tyre off to get to it. So the tyre's on, it does not appear to be leaking, it's rebalanced. Again, if you want to see any of the links about that, I'm going to put a link underneath the video in the text, so you can have a look there for reference. Hopefully it's not going to leak now. We'll check it in a few days.